if all parties vote along party lines, will not be successful because the sitting government would have the majority in terms of the voting elected members. It has not been a practice in the past for ex officio members to participate in the election of a speaker because it is generally seen as a political process, which is best left to elected members. One will see whether or not that practice obtains today as well. The Constitution also provides that the deputy speaker must be a member of the Assembly who is not an elected member. Currently, we only have 2 members of the House of Assembly who are not elected members, the Attorney General and the Deputy Governor. So we expect that one of those persons will serve as the Deputy Speaker, will be elected as the Deputy Speaker. Now, how will the process for electing a Speaker take place? The Constitution and the Legislative Assembly Procedure Rules is not very explicit as regards that process. So one will have to have reference to the House of Commons rules, which is mandated by Section 73 of the Legislative Assembly Procedure Rules, which provides that in all cases not provided for by the Constitution are in these rules, the practice and procedure of the House of Commons of the Parliament of Great Britain and the executive arm of the government shall be followed so far as the same may be applicable to the Assembly. So what is the relevant procedure in the House of Commons in the UK? That procedure provides that to facilitate the election of the Speaker, the chair shall be taken by the member present in the House who is not a minister and who has served for the longest period continuously as a member of the House. So when we examine the current members of our House, the person who we expect to take the chair to facilitate the election process for the Speaker would be the Honorable Mr. Evans McNeill Rogers, since he's the person qualified as the longest serving continuous member of the House of Assembly who is not a member or who is not a minister. He has been in service in the House of Assembly since 2005. If there's more than one nominee for the position of Speaker, the election will take place by secret ballot. And again, according to the House of Commons rules, the person in the chair, Mr. Rogers, would not be able to vote during the election of the Speaker. Once the Speaker is elected, we expect that he or she will take the oath and thereafter will facilitate the election of the Deputy Speaker. After that, each member of the House will make before the Speaker an oath of allegiance in the form which is set out in the Constitution. And the form essentially calls for the person to swear or affirm that they will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to law. Now, we know that some persons have taken objection. I've seen that during the swearing in of the ministers to the fact that the allegiance references Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. But while we continue to be a overseas territory, these things will obtain. So the members must take the oath at this stage because Section 60 of the Constitution provides that the only time you can participate in the business of the House is after you have taken that oath. The only time you can engage in the business of the House without taking the oath is when you're electing the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker. Other than that, you must have taken the oath in order to participate in the business of the House. So the oath must follow the election of the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker. Once the formalities of electing a Speaker and Deputy Speaker and the swearing in of the members are concluded, then the active agenda items appear to be announcements by direction of the Speaker and statements by the members. And we would expect that the members will take the opportunity to extend their thanks to their various constituents for electing them to the various offices, and of course to pledge that they will do their utmost in the delivery of the various promises on the various platforms while they were seeking election. So we need to be conscious, though, that today's swearing-in actually marks a very historic occasion in Anguilla. This is the first House of Assembly where we have 11 elected members. Previously, we had 7. We now have 11. We have an expanded House. And the expectation is that that would actually assist in the democratic process. That was the thinking behind the recommendation of the Constitutional Electoral Reform Committee. So one will wait to see whether or not it assists in the actual exercise of democracy in Anguilla. I would have indicated the portfolios of the ministers. It is instructive to note that with the assignment of the portfolios and the presence of 5 ministers, there has been a shifting in the permanent secretaries as well. So the public might find it interesting to know where the new permanent secretaries have been assigned. The Honorable Dr. Ellis Lorenzo Webster will be assisted in his duties by Permanent Secretary Kathleen Rogers. And they take authority, assume authority for these following subjects: finance, inland revenue, public debt, customs, social security, public service, pensions, procurement, and tenders. And they have responsibility for the following statutory boards, bodies, and boards: the Anguilla Development Board, Social Security Board, Public Service Pension Board, National Commercial Bank of Anguilla Limited, NCBA, and the Procurement Board. Dr. Aidan Harrigan, he will serve with Mr. Honorable Kenneth Hodge as Permanent Secretary for Home Affairs, Immigration, Labor, Human Rights, Constitutional Affairs, Information and Broadcasting, Lands, and Physical Planning. And the statutory bodies and boards he'll have responsibility for with the minister will be the Anguilla Status Commission, the Land Development Control Committee, and the Labor Tribunal. Mr. Merwin Rogers, known to most of us as Foster, will continue to serve as Permanent Secretary for Health with the Honorable Dr. Ellis Lorenzo Webster. He will have conduct of the following statutory boards and bodies: Health Authority of Anguilla, the Medical Board, Mental Health Review Panel. Mrs. Chanel Petty Barrett will serve with the Honorable Kyle Hodge as his Permanent Secretary and will have responsibility for economic development, commerce, information technology, environment, and natural resources with the Honorable Kyle Hodge. She has responsibility for the Anguilla National Trust, Select Anguilla Agency Board, and Special Economic Zone Authority Board. Dr. Bonner Richardson Lake continues to serve as Permanent Secretary for Social Development, Cultural Affairs, Youth Affairs, Gender Affairs, but now also assumes responsibility for education and library services. She will be working with the Honorable Deanne Kentish Rogers, and they will have responsibility for the following statutory bodies and boards: Social Protection Board, Anguilla Community College Higher Education Licensing Board, the Board of Governors of the Albina Lake Hodge Comprehensive School, Technical and Vocational Education and Training Council, Anguilla Youth Business Foundation, National Child Safeguarding and Harm Reduction Board. Mr. Karim Hodge will continue as Permanent Secretary of Infrastructure and will assume responsibility for tourism as well. He will have responsibility for the ANC Port Authority, Public Utilities Commission, the Water Corporation, the Building Board, and the ATB. Mr. Larry Franklin will serve as PS Public Administration, reporting to the Deputy Governor, and will have responsibility for the Parole Board and the Visiting Justice Committee. So I trust this afternoon that I've been able to give you a snapshot of 2 aspects of government: the executive and the legislature, with the legislation in particular, which is just about to be reestablished following a hiatus as a result of its dissolution in May of 2020 to facilitate the general elections of 2020. Thank you for listening and viewing. And in a few minutes, you should be joining the live session from the Anguilla House of Assembly, the actual swearing in and installation of Deputy and Speaker of the House. Thank you.
Nurture and keep on, take you places that you never find. I know something but a state of mind. I've got the dreamer in me.
Roses bloom and the sun will shine. Leave your troubles and the world behind. Stars shine brighter when you free your mind. I've got a dreamer in me.
And when we reach the destination, you will see the world is waiting for the one to hold the key. Just look inside, unlock the possibilities. The dreamer lives in you and me. So take a breath and make the moment last.
You'll never know if you never ask.
All you need will be within your grasp. I've got a dreamer in me. And when we reach the destination, you will see the world is waiting for the ones who hold the key. Just look inside, unlock the possibilities. The dreamer lives in you and me. You and me. You and me. You and me. And when we reach the destination, you will see.
The world is waiting for the ones who hold the key.
Just look inside, unlock the possibilities. The dreamer lives in you and me. You and me. The dreamer lives in you and me.
Good afternoon. Can we stand as we prepare to pray? Lord, thou hast been our dwelling place to all generations. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks and praise. We give you glory and honor. We thank you even for this very special moment as we are gathered here for the first meeting of the first session of the 12th Anguilla House of Assembly. We invite your divine presence to be here within this place. We pray for all the elected members of this honorable house. We pray, Heavenly Father, that you would bless them, you would strengthen them, you would grant unto them wisdom for the task that is ahead. So, Father, even as we are gathered here, we pray and lift them up before you. We pray for those that are in government and those that are in opposition. We pray, Heavenly Father, that as they gather within this house, that wisdom would be imparted unto them, that as they discuss the business of this nation, Heavenly Father, they will do it unto your honor and unto your glory. So we give you thanks and we pray that even as this session be held today, that Heavenly Father, that persons that are attending would be edified and they will leave from here more enlightened. We commit ourselves before you and we pray that you would have your divine way in the name of the Father, Son, and of the blessed Holy Spirit. Amen.
Election of the Speaker. A pleasant good afternoon to all of you who are here in this gallery this afternoon and to those of you via satellite in the High Court and the Magistrate Court, and to those Anguillians and friends of Anguilla throughout the globe who are connected via the various media methods. A pleasant good evening to you all. This afternoon is truly a historic day here in Anguilla. And I am sure that a number of you would be wondering why I am in this position here this afternoon. So before we move on to the election of the Speaker, I will outline my purpose and the privilege that was afforded to me this afternoon. We are here for the election of a Speaker. Section 50 of the Anguilla Constitution Order 1982 makes provision for the election of a Speaker. This election has to take place when the Assembly first meets and before it proceeds to any other business. The Speaker is elected from among persons who are qualified for election to the Assembly, but who are not members of the Executive Council. There are no provisions either within the Constitution or the Legislative Assembly rules that clearly details the manner in which the election of the Speaker should take place. In cases such as this, Section 73 of the Legislative Assembly rules apply. And I quote Section 73, "In all cases not provided for by the Constitution or in these rules, the practice and procedure of the House of Commons of the Parliament of Great Britain and Northern Ireland shall be followed so far as the same may be applicable to this Assembly." So that practice and that procedure is what we are following. Standing Order number 1 of those practices and procedures: the chair shall be taken by that member present in the House and not being a minister of the Crown, who has served for the longest period continuously as a member of this House. This member oversees the election of the Speaker. And by that, your humble servant would have qualified to sit in this chair at this time. Standing Order 1, subsection 3, the member taking the chair has all the powers which may be exercised by the Speaker. And I'm not going to take that privilege to exercise those powers because I know that they are far-reaching powers, so to speak. At this time, I would ask the Leader of Government Business, the Honorable Member for District 1, to officially nominate the person from his government to be the Speaker.
Mr. Chairperson, members of the House, gallery, I take at this time that from the government side, we would nominate Mrs. Barbara Joan Webster-Bourne for consideration as Speaker of the 12th Anguilla House of Assembly.
I rise to second that.
Thank you. And from the opposition side, I would ask the Leader of the Opposition for her nominee as Speaker to this honorable assembly.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon to members of this honorable House and those of us joining us this afternoon. As Leader of the Opposition, we would like to nominate Mr. Terry Harrigan as Speaker of this House of Assembly. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to second that motion.
Thank you. Seeing that we have two nominees, I would take this opportunity to ask Mrs. Barbara Bourne Webster for some comments and remarks on your nomination.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, all. I am indeed honored to be nominated for the position of Speaker of this honorable House, and I hereby humbly accept this position, this nomination, and thank you for the confidence placed in me as your nominee. Thank you.
I now ask Mr. Terry Harrigan, nominee from the opposition side of the aisle, for some comments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Honorable members of government, honorable members of the opposition, ladies and gentlemen in the gallery, good afternoon. Let me commence by offering congratulations to the Honorable Premier Dr. Lorenzo Webster and honorable members of government for their victory at the polls. I want to also congratulate the Leader of the Opposition for their victory at the polls as well. I thank the beloved citizens of Anguilla for their peaceful involvement in the electoral process. As a child growing up during the revolution of the 60s, I always had an appreciation for the institutions of government. But as I stand in these hallowed halls where many years ago my uncle Atlan Harrigan served as the first Speaker of the House of Assembly, I'm still happy to be here. My presence is to affirm the faith and confidence that the Honorable Leader of the Opposition and her colleagues demonstrated in me over the past 5 years. During that time, I was able to represent Anguilla regionally and internationally. As an executive member of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, I was pleased to represent our country from the Bahamas, Mauritius, Trinidad and Tobago, the United Kingdom to Uganda. I served as the first nominated member, Deputy Speaker, and Speaker of this Honorable House. I thank the former Premier, the Honorable Victor Banks, the honorable members of his government, and the people of this great nation for affording me this opportunity. Let me also acknowledge the clerk and staff for the excellent guidance and service during this time. This is a tradition where both government and opposition may nominate persons for consideration. Anyone who understands parliamentary procedures knows my presence is not about the outcome, but rather parliamentary practice, dignity, and respect. There is a new political era, and those in authority have a tremendous mandate. I believe much of our success depends on mutual respect, a working relationship with the United Kingdom, the Foreign Commonwealth Office, the Governor, other regional and international entities, and the continuation of effective dialogue. But I want to say that our experiences as a black race should teach us how to achieve significant milestones. We cannot become immersed in history while disregarding a meaningful approach that ensures and protects our future. I think the words of Dr. Eric Williams, historian and former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, best describes my commitment to our homeland. And I quote, "I was born here, and here I stay with the people of Anguilla who helped educate me and who have made me what I am. I'm going to let down my bucket right here with my people," end of quote. But I want to continue to say that I'm hopeful as we go forth that we can move forward united. We have a difficult challenge and an uphill battle ahead, promulgated by COVID-19. Through diplomacy and deportment, we can achieve much more than if we follow a course of conflict. Out of a history of many decisions and sometimes failing choices, we can determine a new destiny for our people. This is indeed possible. Out of a history of denials, we can be more truthful in our actions. This is indeed possible. Out of a history of repetitiveness, there must be a period of telling leadership and increasing opportunity for all. This is indeed possible. But out of the history of the 60s, there must emerge a correlation of efforts to achieve greater autonomy, prosperity, and privilege. This is indeed possible. But the power and privilege of a democracy stands as a stark reminder that good things can only happen through dedication and ambition. None of us can change history by turning our backs to life's problems. In a democracy, is useless if it does not hold possibilities for its people. But our democracy should be dynamic with principles and policies that help to transform the very lives of our young people. It is our ability to embrace truth and discard false that forms the basis for intellectual development. Any future for our country must consist of a candid relationship among our people. There must be a burning desire to improve every facet of service and bold assurances that positive change must occur. In conclusion, we must stand firm in the belief that working together, we can provide the direction so urgently needed for our country. Again, I say thank you, and God bless Anguilla.
Thank you, both nominees. And I was just instructed by the clerk of this honorable House that please be quiet. The comments and our suggestions in this honorable House is disrespectful. He's asked me to convey that to you. We move on with the election of the Speaker. Standing Order 1B. The election shall be by secret ballot, and that will be conducted by the clerk and the staff of the House of Assembly. Each elected member will have a ballot and would vote for their prospective candidate. At the end of that exercise, the clerk to the House of Assembly will inform me as to who is the winner, and that announcement will be made. Thereafter, I will vacate my short stint, not as the father of the House, but as the presiding officer for the election of the Speaker. At the end of the voting and tabulation process, candidate Terry Harrigan would have received 3 votes. Candidate Barbara Webster-Bourne would have received 7 votes, and there were 2 absentees. So, Mrs. Barbara Webster-Bourne, the Speaker of this Honorable House. And I put the question to the elected and all honorable members and visitors to this House that Mrs. Barbara Webster-Bourne takes the chair as Speaker of this Honorable House. Those in favor? 7.
Thank you. I don't need to raise my hand. I, Barbara Joan Webster-Bourne, do solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors according to law. Anything else?
Just an extra one, Mrs.
That's it. Thank you. Good afternoon, members. You may be seated. It's okay. I can write this. Good afternoon, members. Good afternoon to all Anguillians and visitors alike here with us this afternoon. Good afternoon to those who are listening via radio and social media. On behalf of the Parliament, I welcome all of you. I welcome members. I welcome all Anguillians, all of you present to this session today. I also welcome members of the press and senior government officials. I also acknowledge the presence of teacher Norma Hughes. I see you sitting in the gallery. She is the wife of a past long-standing member for Road South, the Honorable Hubert Hughes. Welcome. In the first instance, I thank the Almighty God for the great favor He has afforded me. I thank members for their support, and I thank the Clerk of the Parliament for his guidance during these proceedings. I also wish to thank the father of this Honorable House, the member for Valley North, for conducting the election of the Speaker. It is indeed a great honor to be nominated and elected Speaker of this Honorable House. I am grateful to all who reposed resounding trust in me to make this possible. I wish to congratulate all members on their election to this Honorable House, both members of the government side and the opposition side. And I am hopeful that members will serve with full dedication and distinction. It is indeed a unique opportunity and privilege to serve our beloved island, and I look forward to maximizing the opportunities for every member to contribute. The promotion of good governance requires a parliament that can effectively perform the three cardinal functions, namely representation, oversight regarding the executive, and lawmaking. We must seek to eliminate the existing practice of presenting some bills in this Honorable House that have not been given any or adequate public consultation. It simply cannot be business as usual. I therefore encourage members to give sufficient time for public discourse and opinion. Furthermore, the opportunity for persons to assist the Assembly exists under Section 54 of the Anguilla Constitution, Order 1982. Should members require such assistance, I will be happy to accommodate your request. Anguillians everywhere look up to Parliament and government for solutions to the problems that confront them on a daily basis. This Parliament is for the people of Anguilla, and they require us to be honest, accountable, transparent, and responsive to their needs. I therefore ask for the full cooperation of all members. After all, you are here to work on behalf of the people who elected you. We all owe this much to all Anguillians. I will conclude with a quote from Alfred Krupp, a renowned German businessman, and it reads, and I quote, "The purpose of work should be for the common good," unquote. This simple but profound quote reflects a commitment to society and the common good to which parliamentarians, ministers, leaders, teachers should all aspire. I thank you once again for this high trust you have so dutifully reposed in me, and I wish you fruitful deliberations and a productive and defining assembly. Thank you, God bless you, and may God continue to bless Anguilla.
Election of the Deputy Speaker.
Section 50 of the Anguilla Constitution, Order 1982, makes provision for the election of a deputy speaker. This election has to take place when the Assembly first meets and before it proceeds to any other business except the election of a speaker. The qualification for deputy speaker is as follows: a member of the Assembly other than an elected member to be deputy speaker of the Assembly. Clearly, this presents a conflict. Currently, there are no provisions either within the Constitution or the Legislative Assembly rules that clearly details the manner in which the election should take place. In cases such as this, Section 73 of the Legislative Assembly rules in this case also applies. And I quote from Section 73, "In all cases not provided for by the Constitution or in these rules, the practice and procedure of the House of Commons of the Parliament of Great Britain and Northern Ireland should be followed so far as the same may be applicable to the Assembly," unquote. The relevant section of the Standing Orders of the House of Commons detailing the process for the election of a Deputy Speaker is Standing Order 28, Section 2A1. And I noted earlier that as it stands, this clearly presents a conflict, and hopefully this could be addressed and resolved in short order. I now invite formal nominations from the floor for the position of Deputy Speaker.
Madam Speaker, members of the gallery, on this side, as leader of government business, we nominate Mr. Perrin A. Bradley for consideration as Deputy Speaker of the 12th Anguilla House of Assembly. Mr. Perrin Bradley meets the provisions for qualification under the Anguilla Constitution Order 1982.
Thank you, Honorable Member.
Madam Speaker, I rise to support.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Are there any other nominations? If there are no further nominations, I put the question that the member do take the chair as Deputy Speaker of the House. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? The ayes have it. The member is therefore confirmed to take the chair as Deputy Speaker. I now invite the honourable member to make remarks if you wish to. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to acknowledge the anomaly that this presents. It's unusual for the Deputy Governor to serve in the office of Deputy Speaker. However, as the Speaker mentioned, it is a little quirk in our Constitution that we are working to address. And as soon as that matter is fixed, I intend to vacate the office immediately. Thank you very much.
Thank you, honourable member, and congratulations.
Oaths of allegiance to new members. Father of the House.
I, Evans McNeil Rogers, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors according to law. So help me God. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Island Harbour, the Premier.
I, Ellis Lorenzo Webster, do solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to law.
The Honorable Member Island-wide, Mr. Kenneth Hodge.
I, Kenneth Meredith Hodge, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Valley South.
Ms. Deanne Kentish Rogers.
I, Deanne Kentish Rogers, do solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to the law.
The Honorable Member Island-wide, Mr. Kyle Hodge.
Raise your right hand.
I, Kyle Jermaine Hodge, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
You are the Black Panther. Two. Thank you. Congratulations.
The Honorable Member for Road South.
Sorry, I'll raise your right hand. Raise your right hand.
I, Hayden Austin Fort Hughes, do solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to law. My name's spelled wrong, right?
Really?
Yeah,
Which one?
the first one, it's H-A-Y-D-N.
Okay. they need to sign for two, so we can correct that after. If you just wait. Misspell. Okay.
Honorable Member Island-wide, Ms. Quincy Hodge.
Gums Marie.
Gums Marie.
Too many Hodges.
I don't even see Hodge.
I know.
Somewhere in there.
Do the Bible. The Bible. Yeah, she's gonna swear. Raise your right hand.
I, Quincy McCullough Kimberly Gums Marie, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to the law, so help me God.
Thank you. Congratulations.
The Honorable Member for Road North.
Merrick Richardson. Yeah. That's right. Your form?
I thought it said I was
Swear.
Raise
Raise your right hand.
I, Merrick Tyrone Richardson, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to law, so help me God.
That's an easy signature.
Very easy, right?
Thank you. That's it. That's it. Thank you. Congratulations.
The Honorable Deputy Governor. Oops, sorry, excuse me. The Honorable Leader of the Opposition and Member for Sandy Hill.
Want to step up?
I, Cora Mae Richardson Hodge, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God. Thank you.
Two. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
The Honorable Member for West End.
Good.
See
Okay,
that?
I can.
Okay.
I, Cardigan Adolphus Connor, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God. Thank you.
One more.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
The Honorable Member Island-wide, Mr. Jose Vanderpool.
Raise your right hand.
I, Jose Jude Vanterpool,
do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to law, so help me God.
Thank you and congratulations.
The Honorable Deputy Governor.
Deputy Governor and your title? Deputy Governor and Deputy Speaker.
I, Perrin Ainsworth Bradley, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
One more.
That's it.
Yes, thank you and congratulations.
The Honorable Attorney General.
I, Dwight David Horsford, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors according to law. So help me God. Thank you.
One more. One more, one more. It's just a backup.
I think you have to sign again.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Thanks.
Confirmation of minutes, none. Announcements by the direction of the Speaker.
There are two announcements, members. One, there will be a post-election seminar hosted by the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. It begins on Monday, July 20th, and it runs through until the 24th. This seminar will provide a valuable opportunity to help shape the parliamentary careers of the newly elected and returning members of the House in developing their skills and understanding of parliamentary democracy. The program will cover areas focusing on parliamentary practices and procedures, administration and financing of Parliament, public outreach and engagement, the role of select committees, as well as key Commonwealth values and principles, such as the Latimer House principles on the separation of powers. The CPA headquarters secretariat will be delivering the program in partnership with the House of Assembly of Anguilla, the Government of Anguilla, and the CPA British Islands and Mediterranean Regional Secretariat. The organizers have assembled leaders, speakers, parliamentarians, clerks, and expert panelists from across the Commonwealth, including Barbados, Bermuda, British Virgin Islands, Canada, Cayman Islands, Dominica, United Kingdom, Trinidad and Tobago, Turks and Caicos Islands, and Wales. All members are expected to attend at all times. I repeat, all members are expected to attend at all times. A tremendous amount of resources have been allocated to the planning and delivery of this program, and we ask that we ensure that we maximize the benefits that can be derived from it. So I am asking again that members please attend this program. Number two, just to convey thanks to all who have made the first meeting possible. The Office of His Excellency, the Governor, and the Anguilla Program Fund, which funded the renovation of the Assembly Building, the contractors, Sunrise Construction, MEPITS, Quality Millworks, the various subcontractors, the project manager, Mr. Bradley Maidman, Mr. Darren Forbes of the Anguilla Program Fund, and Ms. Antia Ipenson of the Ministry of Finance for ensuring that the Chamber was in a state of readiness for this first meeting. The staff at the House of Assembly Services Department, particularly Mrs. Gloria Brooks and her team for the extremely long hours spent cleaning. Thank you all. Mr. Clerk.
Papers, Social Security, Unemployment Assistance, Temporary Benefits Amendment Regulations 2020.
Madam Speaker, thank you. The Social Security Unemployment Assistance Temporary Benefits Amendment Regulations 2020 is necessary because yes. I beg that this be laid on the table. By explanation, Madam Speaker, on March the 11th, 2020, the World Health Organization declared the novel coronavirus as a pandemic. And this causes disease COVID-19. On March the 20th, 2020, the borders for Anguilla were closed. And with that, our main industry, tourism, came to a grinding halt. With the suspension of jobs for many of our workers, especially hospitality workers, it was necessary to ensure that there was some funding so people, Anguillians, would have some means of survival, and therefore the Social Security Unemployment Assistance benefit was put in place along with funding from the government of Anguilla to cover those who did not qualify for Social Security benefits. That expired on June the 30th, and so this government, concerned about the people of Anguilla, feel that we need to extend those benefits, and that is what this paper is about. We do hope that this will continue to provide some assistance, although we know that it's not quite enough, but that will help Anguillians through this trying and difficult time. And so we ask that this be tabled.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I order that the Social Security Unemployment Assistance Temporary Benefits Amendment Regulations 2020 lie on the table.
Reports from committees, none. Petitions, none. Government notices, none. Unofficial notices, none. Questions, none. Motions, none. Other business, statements by members.
I now invite members of the Assembly to give statements if they so desire. I would like to request, by the consent of the Assembly, 10 minutes in speaking for the Premier, Leader of Government Business, and the Leader of the Opposition, and 7 minutes for all other members. I ask your consent. Thank you. I now invite members wishing to speak. I acknowledge the member for Island Harbor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members of this honorable House, members of the gallery, especially my mom who is sitting in the gallery, family and friends. It is an honor to be here in this honorable House, proud of my heritage, proud to be an Anguillan. And this is possible because men like Honorable James Ronald Webster, Honorable Atlan Harrigan, Walter Hodge, Wallace Ray, Collins Hodge, women like Daisy Wong, Mildred, Doreen, Nadine, Verna, my Aunt Vi, teenagers like Toddville and Mitchell and Wilkin, boys like Fogel and Bull, feared nothing and risked everything because they were willing to spend sleepless nights in the bushes or mind the beaches, or stand in front of soldiers' guns and police batons, or travel to St. Kitts to solidify the revolution, or disrupt the Queen Show to stop the celebration of statehood, so that all of us now can stand here with the chance to chart our own future, to stand in our own House of Assembly, and to be called Anguillians. The late Ronald Webster wrote in his book, Revolutionary Leader, I learned a valuable lesson that Anguillians were willing and ready to risk their lives to change their political and economic future. Now, I think it is simple, Madam Speaker, for us to look back 53 years and think that it was all so clear then, that it was all so simple. There was struggle and sacrifice, discipline, tremendous courage. I have often thought about our forebears and wonder where they found that kind of courage. This reminds us of the fact that ordinary citizens can somehow find in their hearts the courage to do extraordinary things. The Anguilla Revolution represents what is possible when a people stand united. Yes, 53 years later, we have made some progress, but the very pillars of our progress have been taken away or put in jeopardy by the policies and actions of our governments. Many promises were made, and laws such as the Asset Management Corporation Act and the Banking Obligations Act, born out of the banking resolution, will cause us to lose prime Anguillan land and property and increase the tax burden on our people for several generations. Madam Speaker, we need to know that the Anguillan dream is still possible. We not only have a moment of great challenge, but also a moment of great opportunity. We have a chance for all of us to come together to tackle the problems which we face. And we have this chance to work together to make the lives of Anguillians, present and future, better and sustainable. And so we must organize even when so many try to stop our efforts. We must speak truth even when they try to silence our words. We must march together. The road is not easy, but the road to change never is. And I don't want to see such a high level of unemployment and no social safety net such that crime increases in our land. I don't want us to be in so much debt that we have no way out. I don't want us to lose our land and property so that we become second-class citizens in our country and have nothing to pass on to our children. I do not want that future for our Anguilla. And I'll never forget that the only reason I am standing here today is because 53 years ago, Mr. Webster and Mr. Harrigan stood up in spite of the risk. They stood up for justice. They stood up against authority. Then a few more Anguillians stood up. And then a few hundred stood up, and then a couple thousand. And standing up with courage and clear purpose and a just cause, they managed to change the course of history. And just 18 days ago, the people, the great people of District 1 elected me to be their representative in this honorable house. And then the great people of Anguilla from district to district elected this dynamic team seated next to me to lead our beloved country into the future. And now it is our turn to save Anguilla. We know that the battle ahead will be long, but we are reminded that no matter what obstacles stand in our way, nothing can stand in the way of the power of thousands of voices calling for change. We must remember that we are not as divided as our politics suggest. We are one people, one nation. And this is our defining moment. A moment when hospitality jobs are in jeopardy, businesses are being shuttered, the economy is in turmoil, the ravages of Hurricane Irma are still evident, and COVID-19 is still a clear and present danger. Madam Speaker, many Anguillans are out of work. They have bills they cannot afford to pay, and no money to pay for health care, rent, and sometimes even food. And in this make or break moment, our future survival is at stake. These times define who we are: resilient, strong, proud, and free. And this APM administration is poised and ready to tackle the issues that confront us head on. And with God's help and the confidence of the people, this work will be done. Madam Speaker, we know that COVID-19 pandemic is still a threat, and I wish to thank the brave souls at the Ministry of Health, the nurses and doctors at the Princess Alexandra Hospital, the Governor's Office, who have worked tirelessly to keep us safe. I also want to thank the United Kingdom citizens and the United Kingdom government for the donations of equipment, money, and technical expertise, as well as the offer of financial assistance to help us get through this difficult period as we determine the way forward. Madam Speaker, as we address the issues of reopening, repatriation, and tourism and the economy, we must always be mindful of the safety and well-being of our people. These concerns will guide us as we analyze epidemiological and scientific data to reduce risk. Moving forward, as we have stressed in our campaign, we must diversify the economy as the shocks of hurricanes and pandemics have shown how vulnerable the tourism industry is. We must develop fishing and agriculture, not only for food security, but also as a means of creating jobs and bringing in money from exports. To decrease the cost of living, we must transform to renewable energy. This will decrease the cost of electricity, the cost of water, the cost of doing business, the cost of health care. Speaking of health care, Madam Speaker, this must be adequate, accessible, and affordable in Anguilla. No longer can we continue to rely on facilities in other islands and countries. COVID-19 has shown us how difficult it is and has become to get care elsewhere. We'll advance policies and legislation for your consideration in the coming weeks and months. We are committed to youth development and empowerment through education, employment, entrepreneurship, with incentives to give our people an advantage. And we must implement social safety nets for the vulnerable in our population, the elderly and the very young. Madam Speaker, there's so much work to be done, and we will need the cooperation of a dedicated public service. We'll need the cooperation of a dedicated House of Assembly. We have been assured of the ongoing commitment of the Governor and the United Kingdom government to supporting Anguilla through these uncertain times, and as we implement strategies and reforms to help Anguilla become more efficient and sustainable. I thank you. I appreciate the time given. May God bless us, and may God continue to bless Anguilla. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Are there any other? Honourable Member for Valley North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Again, a pleasant good afternoon to all of you who are here in the gallery and to those who are connected via the various media methods. Madam Speaker, I want to congratulate you for assuming the chair of the Speaker yet again. I want to take this opportunity to give thanks and praises to the Almighty for bringing us this far. Madam Speaker, I proudly take the designation of Father of the House very seriously, because it is a position, Madam Speaker, as outlined in the practices and procedures of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, the longest serving consecutive member of this honorable House. I remember the days when I was a rookie in this honorable House, and I've moved from that designation, Madam Speaker, to be the father of this House. And I want to thank God for that. And I want to thank the people in Valley North, District 3, for affording me the opportunity to have been in this honorable House as their elected representative since 2005. I want to sincerely thank them for giving me that opportunity, and to thank all of those who were involved behind the scenes in my campaigns from 2005. Madam Speaker, I want to thank my family, my immediate family, my wife, and my children, particularly my last daughter, who've had some health challenges herself, for bearing with me in terms of parental responsibility, in terms of my commitment to this place where I was born. I will be forever grateful for that. And my extended family, Madam Speaker, brothers, sisters, cousins, of which I have quite a bit of those. And I want to thank my colleagues in this honorable House, presently and in the past, for assisting me in every way. Members of the opposition, of the then opposition, members of the then government, of which I was a part of. And Mr. Speaker, I want to place on record my profound gratitude and appreciation for the work that the former Premier, the Honorable Victor Franklin Banks, and his contribution to the overall development of this country, politically and otherwise. I want to also congratulate, Madam Speaker, the class of 2020. Young, dynamic, and I'm sure full of ideas. I want to admonish you that a lot of things that the political rostrum would have afforded, the reality of being in the decision-making as part of government, at times can be controversial. But be that as it may, in order to be able to come to this honorable House as an elected member in this honorable House, it is a challenge, it is hard work, and it is sacrificial. So I want to congratulate them. I want to take this opportunity as the longest continuous serving member of this House to congratulate the Premier, the member for District Number 1. I want to congratulate him and to say to our young students from the Albina Lake Hodge Comprehensive School that my congratulations to the member for District 1 and the Honorable Premier goes back a long way, because we sat in class at the then Valley Secondary School, now the Albina Lake Hodge Comprehensive School. And from the walls of the Albina Lake Hodge Comprehensive School to the gallery and the walls of Parliament. So there is hope. And I'm sure that the vast majority of the honorable members of this House can say the same thing. So what I'm saying, in fact, is that the future of Anguilla is in your hands, our young people. So from the oldest, or the longest serving member of this House, yes, I'm the oldest, serving member of this House, to the youngest. And just to say that history has been made here today, because the Honorable Jose Vanterpool is the youngest member in the history of this Parliament. And Madam Speaker, as a member of the opposition, I would say to the Honorable Premier and his government that we are not here to oppose for opposing's sake. I have been in this position before, and I know what it takes in order to run a country. But I don't need to remind the Honorable Premier that we are necessary, we will support, and we are necessary, we will oppose. I want to thank the taxpayers of the United Kingdom, again, for investing in the rehabilitation of this, our House of Assembly. This is the first time we are sitting here since Hurricane Irma. Again, when I look next to your head, Madam Speaker, there is a piece of the mahogany tree, and I'm sure that a number of us in here, a number of folks in here would not be old enough to know about the mahogany tree and its significance. It is there. And again, when I look around, I look at the floor, and right at the back of you, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, you look at native stone, the work, Anguillan, part of our soil. So I'd like to thank the British government and the taxpayers for assisting us, not only with the rehabilitation of this particular house, but all the work that they have been doing throughout the country. I look forward in this honorable house to be able to make significant contributions, to assist government where necessary, and to oppose where it's necessary. I can assure you that my task here would be in the best interest of the people of Anguilla. The elections are over. The people of Anguilla have spoken. And whether we like it or not, they are the government, you are our government. And at the end of the day, whatever support we can give in terms of moving Anguilla forward, I think it would be in the best interest of all of us. Because at the end of the day, if good come, we all will receive. And if there are unfortunate circumstances, we all must be prepared to play our part. So I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to the new administration. And thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Member for Road South.
Just to note, I made the oath as a legal requirement to do so. But my allegiance is to the people of Anguilla in general and to the people of Road South in particular. That is where my allegiance lies. Congratulations are in order for all who are seated here this afternoon. There are some basic principles that I've learned over the years, some of which help guide me in public life. I am a stickler for transparency. I believe in fair play and justice. I have a disdain for corruption, bribery, and I will not tolerate it even if it means shortening my political career, because there are pressures on me, on my team, to skirt the law, betray the public trust, while violating the principles of good governance. Basic truth does not change. The truth that lies at the heart of everyone, that we can recognize the common hopes, dreams, and aspirations of the people we are elected to serve. We will draw on the talents, energy, and strengths of our people, because we know we do not have all the answers, and we surely do not own the monopoly on ideas. We will need you, and together we shall rise. I am one who believes should never be elected because of my hard stances. I'm one who some believe would never be elected because of my hard stance on the issues of self-rule and autonomy, accountability, justice, and transparency. But I was elected, and it did not happen due to my own doing. I had a team that won this election. They won this election and brought 727 people to the polls to restore respectable representation to District 6. And to those who did not vote or voted for the other side, I am your representative too. To my campaign manager, Ms. Melusha Niles McCoo, and her strong team, I thank you. To Geraldine James, James Lake, Rosamond Davis, you know the dusty roads, the barking dogs, and the many issues that we confronted as we walk our district day after day. And while the dogs bark and everyone shunned to the side, I was a true dog whisperer. To you, Power, Monica, Carl, Megali, Andrea, Mariella, Glenn, Tracy, Ken, Nixon. Where's Nixon? Lynn, Jamal, Panther, Bajan, Cloud, Mercedes, Barclay, Agnes, Ian, Janice, Johnny, Yoquin, Kaka, Stunky, Ray, Lyrene, Leroy Davis, Marty, Tambi, and others. You know who you are. And you want this, and I will not disappoint you. To the people of Road South, I thank you for hiring me as your elected representative. I will do all I can to make you proud, independent, and strong. To our partners in London, this is the time to renew our partnership based on mutual respect and mature dialogue. This is a new era. This is a new time. The time we live in is unprecedented, and it will take the collective efforts of all. To our colleagues on the other side of the so-called divide, the politics of old will remain in the past. Let us turn the corner, Randy, and work together and bring about the Anguilla our forefathers envisioned. The honorable member for District 7, he and I have already demonstrated that unity is unifying and unity is strength. Come over to the warm side. Let us unite for that common purpose. And that purpose is the business of constructing a nation that can be proud, strong, and free, because words without deeds are dead. As I conclude, it would be remiss of me if I did not thank our Honorable Premier, the duly elected member for District 1. I love to hear some of that. For placing the confidence in me to help navigate the ministries of tourism and infrastructure. I thank you, and I thank the people of District 1 for electing you to this esteemed position. Your tremendous sacrifice will not be made in vain. I thank God every day for this team. I thank God every day for helping to guide the hearts and minds of the people of District 1, 4, 5, and 6, and also for the 3 capable, energetic, and motivated island-wide representatives that have hit the ground running. And while it is 4 of us fell just short, you too are part of this team. As together, all of us can elevate this country, even in the midst of this pandemic. To my 3 beautiful, smart, and loving children who have been around for my entire political career and have seen the struggles, I thank you. I love you, Tay. He's in here today. I love and adore you, Jazara Amachi. And Jafari, you are my spirit twin. I love you. My parents keep reminding me of our similarities. Thank you for being here. And to my mother, Mama, thank you for your strength and grace. To Devan Kate, thank you for teaching me to temper my passions and holding my tongue. To my father, the Honorable Hubert Benjamin Hughes, thank you for holding strong and returning home to see your first son partake in history as the first father and son to ever be elected in the history of Anguilla. I thank you for your guidance and counsel, and I know you must be proud. Thank you, Anguilla, for putting up with me for over 25 years. And to Road South, you made this happen. This is your seat. I am your servant, and I will represent you and the country as best I could. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. And while we remind you that while we speak of respectable representation for your constituencies, I wish to point out that I demand respectable representation also in this Honorable House and impress upon you to address the Chair. Thank you. I now acknowledge the Honorable Member at Large, Mr. Kenneth Hodge.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to acknowledge presence here today of my wife, Marilyn, my children who are here and overseas, my father, 84 years and going strong still, my brothers, sister, other members of my family, friends, and supporters. I just want to begin by acknowledging the excellent contribution by teachers Kimber and Lennox Van der Poel and the choir from the Albina Lekage Comprehensive School for the melodious renditions at the outset of this process. Thanks to the clerk, the premier, and the leader of the opposition for supporting my request for them to be involved. Youth involvement in nation building. Paul the Apostle, in writing his first letter to the Corinthians, ended chapter 13 with these words, "Now abides faith, hope, and love, these 3, but the greatest of these is love." Madam Speaker, on this momentous occasion and all the other big moments leading up to now, I find a special affinity with Paul Joshua, Moses, and with Jesus himself, and all those who embrace the cause of love and hope and justice, of equality and inclusion. Now is indeed the time for those of us who yearn to be part of the solution for the common good, to show our hands and to stand up and be counted. For this I now stand. Madam Speaker, I stand here today humbled by the task before us and grateful for the trust the people of Anguilla have bestowed upon me. I thank God for the opportunity he has given to me to represent him in the service of his people. I stand before you today, Madam Speaker, and before all the members of this honorable House, and indeed all of Anguilla, humbled, grateful, and expectant. Humbled because as a child of God, I'm reminded of the absolute necessity of remaining in the shadow of God's awesome power and wisdom, remaining under the control of his strength and his grace. Grateful because the Anguilla Progressive Movement team sought the opportunity to serve the people of Anguilla and was granted that opportunity. Our people heard our message, Madam Speaker, and believed in that message and our capabilities to deliver. Further grateful for the opportunity to have sat and listened to our people on a wide range of issues. Undoubtedly, this participation made for a strong and healthy democracy. And finally, expectant as I join with our Honorable Premier Dr. Ellis Webster and the Anguilla Progressive Movement government to declare in the name of Jehovah Jireh that Anguilla's best days are still ahead of her. Anguilla will rise again. Here and now, I pledge to all of Anguilla to be her servant to the best of my ability. One thing is certain, I will not take for granted the confidence you have placed in me. To be afforded the opportunity to be part of a team that will chart the course and lead the charge for this leg of Anguilla's journey is for me an absolute honor and a distinct privilege. I will never let you down. So today I say to you, my fellow Anguillians, that the challenges we face are real. They are serious and they are many. They will not be met easily in a short span of time. But know this, my people, these challenges will be met because no problem is insurmountable, for with God, all things are possible. I join with the hymn writer Timothy Dudley when he states, "We expect a bright tomorrow, all will be well. Faith can sing through days of sorrow, all is well. On our Father's love relying, Jesus every need supplying. Yes, in living or in dying, all must be well. Anguilla will rise again. She will rise in faith, she will rise in hope, and she will rise in love. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but rather of knowledge, of power, and of a sound mind. God is with us. God has promised to lead us. He will never forsake us. We will make all Anguillians proud again. We will serve with distinction. We will conduct ourselves in this honorable house with the highest decorum and standards. Permit me, Madam Speaker, on a personal note, to make mention of my dear mother, the late teacher Donice Hodge, who had been a source of inspiration to me throughout her life. I know if she were here today, she would have been extremely proud of her son and the contributions he has made and will continue to make for this our beloved island. To my wife Marilyn, my children and their significant others, my father Joseph Hodge, my siblings, extended family, friends, supporters, and well-wishers, a heartfelt thank you for the love, support, and prayers over these many months. Madam Speaker, I wish at this juncture to reiterate my fervent intention to serve Anguilla and its people with distinction and pride, to remain connected with you, our people who bestowed upon me this opportunity to be in this honorable house. I will ever be grateful. May God continue to bless us. May we continue to trust and serve him. And so I close as I began. Now abides faith, hope, and love. These three, and as always, the greatest of these is love. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, honorable member. Any other contributions? I recognize the member at large, Mr. Joseph Vanterpool.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'd like to start off by first and foremost saying congratulations to you for not only your nomination, but your successful election to Speaker of this Honorable House. Congratulations to yourself, as well as to the Deputy Governor as being elected the Deputy Speaker of this Honorable House. Before I move on from that note, I would like to thank the Honorable Mr. Terry Harrigan for his past contributions as Speaker of this House, as well as for the personal contributions he would have made to me as mentor in my past capacity as Deputy Speaker. There were several times where I would have to assume the chair, and even as being introduced as a new parliamentarian, Mr. Harrigan was instrumental in towards my development and towards the day-to-day function of this House, and I would like to thank you for his contribution. As I begin, I'm not one to really call names because I'm so bad with them I always tend to forget, but I'd like to start off by saying a big thank you to the people of Anguilla. As an island-wide candidate, I have to thank the people not only from my home district, District 1, but from all of the districts, District 1 to District 7. My last time in this honorable house, I would have left being the youngest parliamentarian as first nominated member of this honorable house. It was a privilege and an honor to be able to serve my people in that capacity, but the privilege that afforded is nothing compared to the humbling magnitude being able to return to this honorable house as the youngest elected member. The difference is this time when I return with the mandate of you, the people of Anguilla. I return here on your authority to be able to speak on your behalf, and I intend to do justice to do just that. Madam Speaker, I would like to congratulate the incoming government, Premier, as well as your full APM administration. When on June 29th, the people of Anguilla went out to speak in the general elections, they spoke, and they spoke loud and clearly. As members of the opposition, our job is not to oppose for opposing sake, and our job is not to get in the way of you, because any government should be allowed the mandate to lead. That is your job. Our job as opposition members are to provide the checks and balances, the accountability, the transparency, the direction and oversight necessary to ensure that you're doing your job not only to the best of your ability, but to the confidence of the people of Anguilla. With that being said, you, like many other candidates, campaigned on transparency, accountability, and oversight. I'm happy to report that you guys will be successful in doing this because you have no choice. The reason I say that, because I'm confident that my team, under the guidance of the astute leader of the opposition, the Honorable Ms. Cora Richardson-Hodge, we are here to serve the people of Anguilla in that oversight and scrutiny capacity. And we look forward to working not against you, but with you to be able to provide the best representation to the people of Anguilla. Madam Speaker, you mentioned earlier, as elected members, and this is something that's often lost because when people see persons elected to opposition, they often feel that that's 5 years wasted, 5 years of being paid for nothing. Madam Speaker, yes, we are members of the opposition, but as you accurately stated, all elected members have three basic functions to their constituents and to the people of Anguilla: the function of representation, the function of legislation, and the function of oversight. Now, Madam Speaker, where I was here before in my capacity as a nominated member, I did not exercise that right to legislate. It is purely because I was not given that mandate by the people of Anguilla. This time around is different. I fully intend to use my capacity as a legislator to put forward the legislation and to work along with the governing side to ensure that the legislation that's brought forth to the people of Anguilla is in the best interest of the people of Anguilla. As representatives, we have two roles: to represent as delegates and to represent as trustees. To represent as a trustee means that the people of Anguilla have invested their confidence in all of us as elected members to be able to make decisions on their behalf. As representations of delegates, we are here to be voices of the people of Anguilla. Madam Speaker, I would like to take this time to assure the people of Anguilla that all of them who voted for me and who did not vote for me, that in my capacity as an elected island-wide member, I am here to represent them all. I am your servant, and I am here to be your voice. So it doesn't matter what side you are on, whether you supported me or not, I am here to support the people of Anguilla. And Madam Speaker, I look forward to working along with you, especially because seeing that we have more time in opposition, I intend to use that time to be able to help strengthen this institution that is Parliament by continuing the work that was started when I was Deputy Speaker. I look forward to working along to implementing the report that was done by the CPA along with all of the recommendations. Finally, I would like to close by saying thanks again to the people of Anguilla, all the best to the new and governing administration. Thank you to my team who will stand with me and who will work with me to carry out the functions, and thank you to those who came before us. I would like to make special mention of our past Premier, the Honorable Mr. Victor Franklin Banks, because without him and without his administration, I would not have been able to be exposed to politics by my appointment as first nominated member in the previous House of Assembly. It is that introduction to politics that has led the people of Anguilla to seeing something in me, and it is that has caused me to act, to run for elections, and to serve. And that is exactly what I intend to do to the best of my ability. Thank you. May God bless us all, and may He continue to bless Anguilla.
Thank you, Honourable Member. I acknowledge the member at large, Mr. Kyle Hodge.
Good afternoon. I acknowledge the presence of my father, my mother, and my wife. Thank you all for being here. And Madam Speaker, congratulations on your appointment. Madam Speaker, it's an honor and a privilege to be in this honorable house to serve the people of Anguilla. I am humbled by the overwhelming support, not just for myself, but for this entire team. Madam Speaker, I got here not on my own might, not on my own strength, but God and the people who believe that I can make a positive contribution. My grandfather was a political figure, and his character, his ideals, his morals and uprightness would have been indeed passed on to his children and his grandchildren. And I am blessed and grateful to be his grandson. Madam Speaker, no doubt I am where I am because of him. So today, in this honorable house, I pay tribute to my grandfather, the revolutionary Collins Oliver Hodge. I never got the chance to meet him, but his legacy will continue to live on. Madam Speaker, I want to say thank you to the people who advised, who supported, who criticized. There are many people who would fit one or two of these roles. But Madam Speaker, there are just a few people that are able to do all and still show love and respect. My father, my wife, and my mother. Three of the most toughest people I know sitting right here in this gallery. Madam Speaker, statistically, I wasn't supposed to be here in this honorable position. Nothing about my childhood, at least from my vantage point, showed that my twisted, rugged road in life would have brought me here. From growing up on the block in George Hill to almost being expelled in high school, you could ask Mr. Rodney Ray, to being an entrepreneur, but for the grace of God, I lived positively, giving more to life than I took, working hard and working honest. Madam Speaker, a young man embraced me yesterday and said, "Wow, one of us is finally in government." He grew up similarly to me, and now there's a renewed hope among young people. I transitioned from the black to become a businessman, now a politician. But as a businessman in this country, I took a lot of knocks to survive. And my fight will be for the Anguillan businesses. The Anguillan entrepreneurial spirit must be revived. With honesty, respect, dignity, grace, love, innovation, and God, you can be anything in this world. I am a perfect example of that. I prayed for signs, for God to assure me that this is what He wanted me to do. He sent signs in the beginning, and He sent a sign at the very end. When the votes were tallied, the total I received was 3,557. 3557. My office number. Madam Speaker, I was delighted Wednesday evening of this week to witness Chetty from Chetty's Enterprises open his doors in this new COVID era and showcase his many offerings true to the Anguillan spirit. The Anguillan is a very special person. The Anguillan that I always heard about was multi-talented, multi-skilled, having various trades and professions. The Anguillan entrepreneur not only owned one, but rather 2, 3, and sometimes 4 businesses. Madam Speaker, God is good. And I say to the people of Anguilla, let us keep the faith. I myself left 2 functioning businesses behind. 2 businesses behind on the 29th of June, 2020, for my wife and my brother to run. This afternoon, in this honorable house, I want to assure the business people of Anguilla, the entrepreneurs of Anguilla, that you have a friend in this government. Ministers with experience in building and creating businesses from scratch, from the ground up. Madam Speaker, the way forward is for us as a people to be innovators, creators, thinkers, and problem solvers. With the right policy support from this government, this team of diverse, honorable ministers, we will make Anguilla a better place for all of us. But we have to do it together. Earlier today, I met with some egg farmers. Last week, I met with some other farmers and fisher folk. Yesterday, I met a digital nomad, someone living here in Anguilla, working remotely, not occupying any jobs that would have been for our people, but working remotely on this island, Madam Speaker. And as bleak as it is in this COVID era, I feel a little bit of hope. The focus will be to build our local industries, skill up our people, and when you do that, you build a nation. It is imperative for our survival that our first preference is always to support local. This government will facilitate and empower the private sector, make it strong. To the people of Anguilla, as we limp along, know that in this difficult period, we ask that you walk along with us. We are in this together, and when you walk with us, know and have faith and confidence that this government is about empowering you to thrive. We are in this together. As I close, I say to the people of Anguilla, hold us accountable, ask us the tough questions, scrutinize us. We are only human beings too, and we will make mistakes along the way, but it will be your voice that will keep us in line and remind us not to get complacent. Madam Speaker, we can get through any difficult period together. Thank you.
Thank you, honourable member. Any other contribution? Member for Road North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good afternoon to everyone. Cynthia Ozick said, "We often take for granted the very things that most deserve our gratitude." Madam Speaker, at this moment, I am humbled and extremely grateful to God. I give thanks to God Almighty for bestowing His blessings on me. I thank Him for this moment. This is indeed a historic moment in my life and for the village of North Hill, my birthplace. I stand here as the first elected representative from this little village. This is a moment that is now etched in history, a moment that I will forever cherish. Madam Speaker, I dare not take for granted the depth of gratitude owed to the wonderful people of Road North, Old Tare, Water Swamp, Sandy Ground, South Hill, and North Hill. A hearty thank you to all 386 persons for choosing me. You have chosen yourself a representative that you feel is capable of representing you. As I present myself today, I assure you that with God's help, I will endeavor to represent you and to serve you well. Like King George VI said, the highest of distinction is service to others. People of District 5, Road North, know that I, your servant, stand ready to represent you in this honorable house. Madam Speaker, I am thankful to my mother, Vida Gomes, my aunt, Bernice Hughes, my sisters and my brothers, especially Lisco, for your support. To my children, to Fari, Tajay, and Gabby, and my life partner, Valencia, thank you for putting up with me on the campaign trail. To my other family members, well-wishers and friends, and all who gave a word of encouragement, I am forever grateful to you. To my support group, my fundraising committee members, thank you for your commitment and hard work over the past months. You have demonstrated a wonderful spirit of togetherness and love which paved the way with success at the polls. Madam Speaker, gratitude is also extended to the APM team for choosing me to be part of their slate of candidates for the 2020 elections. Thank you to the people of Anguilla for electing an APM government. I know the road ahead for us will not be an easy one, but with God's help, we can make it. There's a famous saying that tells us, no man is an island. I need you, you need me. We all need each other to get along. Yes, life has its moments, but we can no longer allow negativity to chart our course and tear us apart. Anguilla, now is the time to unite. Let us lay aside what divides us and draw on what unites us for the good of our country, the place we love. The campaign is over, and we, your elected government, stand ready to serve you. The task ahead is a great one, and it requires having all hands on deck. Whether you have elected us or not, this is your government. We are your government, and we will work for all of you. We have committed ourselves to work for everyone, and no one will be left behind. Madam Speaker, Anguilla is our land, it's our country. Anguilla is our responsibility, and we will work together for a brighter future for this place we call our home. We know the future of our children rests on the decisions that we make today. Therefore, our commitment is to serve and be of service. As we begin this 5-year journey, we are confident that the Lord is with us and that he will see us through. As he has with our forefathers in those dark, dry days, so he will be with us. We are committed to serving you. We have put our hands to the plow, therefore we will forge ahead. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow said, "The heights by great men reach and were kept, not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, were toiling upward in the night." I know the journey ahead will be challenging and the road may be rugged. There may be long days and sleepless nights, but with the help of the Lord, this government will forge forward together. We will work for you, the people of Anguilla. This is our pledge. This is our promise. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I acknowledge the member at large, Mrs. Quincy Gums-Marie.
Madam Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to address the House and deliver these brief remarks. In this, my first address to this House, I wish to begin by thanking God for the privilege and wherewithal to be a true representative for the people of Anguilla. I bid a pleasant good afternoon to you, Madam Speaker, to my fellow members of this House of Assembly, as well as those in attendance, the viewing and listening audience, well-wishers, and members of the media. To stand here this afternoon in this capacity is truly an honor. I am also proud to be a member of this dynamic and diverse government that faithfully reflects the people it was meant to represent, inclusive of age, gender, educational backgrounds, and various experiences. Madam Speaker, separate from our differences, which ought to be celebrated, I also wish to celebrate the key characteristics we share. We came together bound by our shared values and beliefs that democracy should not just be a political practice. It should be a social and, more importantly, a moral practice with a conscious, uninterrupted understanding of society and people's issues. I am confident that our shared values, coupled with our mutual respect and genuine friendships, will take us through these 5 years, as challenging as we know it will be. And I thank God daily for the honorable men and women I stand with. While I am on the topic of gratitude, I want to acknowledge each and every one of the 2,840 persons who believed in my messages, values, and abilities. Were it not for you, this pursuit would have been a dream deferred. So I thank you for your silent and loud support, the messages of best wishes and ceaseless prayers. Of that overwhelming support, permit me, Madam Speaker, to single out my parents, Quincy and Vincia Gums, my mother who is in the audience, whose support cannot be quantified. My brothers, Quincy Jr. and Quincy Gums, and their partners who supported me through this journey, thank you. And lastly, and most importantly, my husband, Curvis Marie, a man who is all and more. Thank you for agreeing to share me with the people of Anguilla for the next 5 years, at the very least. And thank you for encouraging me to be part of this quest for change. Madam Speaker, after campaigning on the collective belief that the change we sought was one that could not wait, we are now here. It is important to note that that revolutionary change is not just a cosmetic one. It is not merely a change of faces. It is a fundamental, far-reaching change. It will not only be made by the members of this Anguilla Progressive Movement administration. The change we seek requires the full support of every man, woman, and child. It requires all hands on deck. It requires knowing and operating in a way that demonstrates that a win for Anguilla is a win for all. Madam Speaker, I have made specific promises to the people of Anguilla, and in my role as Parliamentary Secretary for Economic Development, Tourism, Information Technology, and Natural Resources, I intend to keep them. And those promises were simple: to ask the right questions, have the right conversations, include the right stakeholders, and listen to the right ideas that will move us forward as a collective. As a facilitator of the Anguillian dream, I intend to be respectful of the people's time in their house and to be their voice as I, along with my team, champion sensible, culturally sensitive laws that will move Anguilla forward while still respecting the Anguillian identity. Madam Speaker, I consider this moment a win for all Anguillians. There are moments in our history that shape us forever. In the same way we remember the day that these very same doors were closed on the people of Anguilla, I want today to be recorded in history as a day that the people of Anguilla won back their house and governance. If there is ever a legacy I wish to leave, Madam Speaker, that is it. Madam Speaker, permit me to end by directly addressing the people of Anguilla, to simply say, welcome back home. Welcome back. Welcome back to your house. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. I acknowledge the member for West End.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. To me, it's a case of a thank you, because like all of us in this House today, we did not do it alone, and we needed the support of many to get us here. In our case, on this side, or three of us in a way, for a second time. Mr. Speaker, I want to give a special thank you to Almighty God, because without Him, none of this is possible. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, I should say, I also want to say a special thank you to the people of District 7. And as I stand here as the representative of District 7. For the next 5 years, as much as I care much about my island of Anguilla, my first obligation is to my people of District 7. And what I do know is I don't stand alone in this House representing District 7, because the initiative of the Honorable Representative for District 2, the Honorable Cora Richardson Hodge, my colleague next to me, and colleagues across the aisle, they too are here because the people of District 7 voted for them. So in this House, I'm quite proud to say that District 7 has the majority in the House, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, again, it is vitally important for us to understand our roles in this House. I, throughout my professional career, was very much a team player. The profession of cricket, and I see one of my best friends, I would say. Still, politics will never separate Sam Webster and I, Madam Speaker. We've worked hard together, but over the years, one of the things that I learned from one of the games that I played, where one of the great cricketers of all time, Malcolm Marshall, won the Man of the Match award against Northamptonshire in the semifinals. Televised game, he was the best player on the field, but refused to go to accept the award because, as far as he was concerned, the fact that his team had lost, that he had lost. And for a couple of days, Mr. Speaker, I felt like that. But then the reality is that wherever you are is where God wants you to be. And at times, Madam Speaker, you have to take a backward step to leap forward. And I consider myself, that's exactly to the position I'm in today. Madam Speaker, I see Anguilla going forward as a relay. The honorable member for District 6 mentioned about our relationship and sharing in the award of Anguilla being #1 4 years in a row by Travel and Leisure. Madam Speaker, that is a moment that has never happened in the history of tourism in the past. So despite the challenges that we face with the COVID-19, Anguilla stands proud in tourism as the island of choice or the destination of choice in the Caribbean. And the work of the Honorable Minister, former Minister of Health, and his team to have Anguilla COVID-free today is that there's so many on the outside knocking on the doors to come to Anguilla. It means, Madam Speaker, that we have left Anguilla in a very good place. We might feel sorry for ourselves or around the world, Madam Speaker, but what it is, I believe, out of a bad situation, we still have got the tools to take us forward. With that, Madam Speaker, I want to say a special thank you to those who've worked with me over the last 5 years. The chairperson of the Anguilla Tourist Board, Mrs. Donna Banks, the board members, the reps, our tourism partners. Again, whatever we do, some of us will be the ones who will take the photograph, but it's more than a photograph. What's behind it? It's the people of Anguilla that really matters. I know, Madam Speaker, that the road ahead is going to be difficult. It was difficult for us in 2015, but we never gave up. Being on this side of the aisle, it is believed by some of our supporters, we're here to keep their feet to the fire, our partners on the other side. On the other side, they would see it's a time for us to forget about the campaign and work together. The bottom line, Madam Speaker, if we truly care about Anguilla, we have to work together. And at times, tough love is good love too. And I think that is exactly what we will get over the coming years, because the challenges will be tough. And again, as I talk about a relay, and I mention it to the honorable member for District 6, if you drop the baton of that consistency of 4 in a row, it means in 5 years' time we have to go back and pick it up, because we need to move forward, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there's so many people, my cell members in District 7, the people of Anguilla who've given me the encouragement, the desire over the last 5 years, that support to move on and to best represent them. I often believe you cannot lose if you give 100%. Coming second or even coming last in the race doesn't make you a loser, as long as you do the best that you can. I'm going to extend an invitation to my colleagues across the aisle. On Sunday, the 19th, there's a boat race down at Meads Bay in honor of the great late Albert Belcher Hughes. In his honor, he is someone who's represented District 7 with great distinction over 30 years. To his family, who will not be here because of COVID-19, some of his family members who are in St. Thomas, but as a community of West End, and I know as Anguilla, who would have respected the work that he put in, they will be there, all be there to support him. Madam Speaker, again, I am grateful to be here. At first, in 2015, they say you'll never make it. So you jump that hurdle. They say you won't make it a second time. And now they want me to run a third time, Madam Speaker, because they see the will and the desire and ability to do the best for our people. I thank you for this opportunity, and to all my family and friends throughout Anguilla, I thank you so much. May God bless you, and may God continue to bless Anguilla.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Are there any Honourable Member for Sandy Hill?
Good day, Madam Speaker. First of all, I would like to congratulate you on the position of Speaker of this Honourable House. I rise as well to give thanks, first of all, to Almighty God for bringing me thus far. To my husband, Willis Hodge, and my two daughters, Taya and Sinai, who are here today. I know it is not easy having a wife and mother in the political arena, and I truly appreciate your continuous support of me over these years, and so I thank you. I would like to thank my colleagues of the Anguilla United Front for their support over the past 10 years. And I also want to thank my members of the opposition for nominating me as the leader of the opposition in this honorable House. Most importantly, Madam Speaker, I would like to thank my district, District Number 2. I want to thank my close supporters who have been supporting me and at times even carrying me when necessary. And each one of you know who you are, and you must know that I truly appreciate all of your efforts. I also thank the residents of District 2 for once again re-electing me as your District 2 representative. From your supportive words and prayers and continuous support, that I thank you for expressing to me your great satisfaction in my representation of you. And I know that I will continue to represent your interests. And I want you to know that I will continue to represent your interests over the next 5 years, albeit from the opposition benches. Madam Speaker, I would like to congratulate the members of the Anguilla Progressive Party, the leader, the Honorable Dr. Lorenzo Webster, the member for Island Harbor, for their win during this past election campaign. It was a hard-fought campaign. The electorate has made their decision, and it is now time for this new government to complete the work of the people and to continue the work for the people. 5 years ago, Madam Speaker, I was elected for the first time as the elected representative for District Number 2. The residents of District 2 decided to give me the opportunity to represent their interests in the constituency and across Anguilla as a whole. And I am humbled to say that as a result of that opportunity, significant social advancements had been made over the previous 5 years through my ministerial portfolio: home affairs, immigration, labor, education, constitutional and electoral reform, information and broadcasting, and human rights. The Anguilla Labor Relations Act 2019 was a piece of legislation that was hard fought. The old labor laws were outdated and did not effectively address the issues that were prevalent and are prevalent in Anguilla today. But there were forces that did not want the laws to be changed, presumably because the old antiquated laws benefited their interests and their needs. But today, as a result of the work in my ministry, the Anguilla United Front government was able to put in place new labor laws, which include doing away with continuous one-year contracts, providing for preference for Anguillians who are qualified for job positions, and provisions of an understudy program has been enshrined in law. And finally, for severance pay, where a person who has been made redundant can be compensated by the employer. There is still much work to be done on the labor laws, and I would dearly hope, Madam Speaker, that this new government will not destroy these significant advances that have been made, but instead continue to build on the work that has started for the benefit of all of the people of Anguilla. This country is made up of employers and employees, and it is only when that balance is achieved will we see Anguilla move forward. Our 1982 Anguilla Constitution was also severely outdated. It is the oldest constitution of all of the British overseas territories. And through the efforts of my ministry, the Anguilla United Front government was able to not only prepare and begin negotiations on a new constitution, but in May of 2019, we were able to present an amendment to the people of Anguilla, which, among other things, brought into effect for the first time in Anguilla's history the island-wide voting, and we can see the effects of it in our House today. But we finally recognized all grandchildren as being Anguillians, and it allows for Anguillians who are also citizens of another country to run in Anguilla's general elections. There is more work to be done in relation to constitutional reform, and it is my hope and expectation that the new government will continue to progress it for all Anguillians. In education, when you look across the landscape of Anguilla, you will see that 4 of our 6 primary schools are currently under construction, and the other 2 primary schools, the work has already been completed. And our Albina Lake Hodge Comprehensive School, Campus A, is being rebuilt in its entirety. When Hurricane Irma damaged our schools, the Ministry of Education under my leadership was able to put forward the case that our children were our future. And if our children are our future, then we need to rebuild our schools, not only to accommodate our children, but to provide the critical infrastructure that will allow our teachers to effectively teach our children, as well as a comfortable learning environment for our children where they can reach their greatest potential. The elected members of the Anguilla United Front were of one mind in ensuring that our school facilities take priority, and I fully expect and believe that this government shared these same views. And today, I dare say that these same education construction projects, along with the health construction projects, are a couple of the few pillars that is keeping the wheels of Anguilla turning today, while the country is shut down and our main industry, tourism, is essentially non-existent. God bless these health and education construction projects, funded by the UK £60 million that the Anguilla United Front government negotiated and successfully obtained. On a broader scale, the Anguilla United Front government created 3 temporary unemployment benefit programs over the previous 5 years. The first was after Hurricane Irma through the Anguilla Social Security Board, where persons received EC 1,000 for a period of 4 to 5 months. The second and third are currently still taking place. One through the Social Security Board for persons who have paid Social Security, they receive EC $1,000. And the other through the Ministry of Finance, where persons who do not qualify under the Social Security program can obtain EC 800. I understand that the amount through the Ministry of Finance has been increased by approximately EC $200 by this government. And I'm also happy to see that the temporary unemployment benefit program through Social Security has been extended to December of 2020. I'm glad to hear that this government has continued the good work and is building on the foundation that has been started by the previous AUF government. I know during the previous weeks, much criticism had been levied against the previous government about the EC 1,000, and some persons had promoted that the amount should be increased. But as I am sure this new government is already beginning to understand, that all of the issues and considerations that must be taken into account factor into making decisions ultimately. As in this case, there has always been a balancing act between making sure we provide assistance to as many Anguillians as possible, as well as not withdrawing so much funds that we bankrupt the Social Security Fund. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, my apologies. There is a distinct difference between not being in government and understanding all of the nuances that form the daily decisions and being at the table where those decisions are being made. It is only when you are at the table that you begin to understand that you will not be able to accomplish everything that you set out to do. Take, for instance, the EC $100 million that was hotly criticized just weeks ago. Today, we all finally understand that without these funds, the country would be in a disastrous situation. And the acceptance of the EC $100 million grant from the UK government, which will float the country until December 2020, is a necessity. I wish to thank the UK government for their assistance of grant monies over the years, after Hurricane Irma, and again through this COVID pandemic. Thank you as well to the former Premier, the Honorable Mr. Victor Franklin Banks, for his stellar work in leading the charge in negotiating these grant monies for Anguilla. Many Anguillans will recall that I repeatedly said that the next government would have some very difficult decisions to make. Thanks to the leadership of the previous government, a COVID-free Anguilla has been handed over to this new government. And this government will have to maneuver between how to reopen our country and rebuild the economy while continuing to keep our people safe. there are indeed tough days ahead. And this is why the Anguilla United Front candidates did not and would not make promises that could not be kept. We knew that the economy was in shambles, having been closed since March of this year. We also knew that a lot of hard work would have to be undertaken to get our economy back up and running. You cannot make promises that require financial input unless the economy is properly functioning. Yes, we all have dreams and aspirations and visions for our beloved country, but anyone that is awake and paying attention would know that right now, throughout the world, we're in the midst of a global pandemic. Madam Speaker, as opposition members in the House of Assembly, our role is not to object to everything that comes before this honorable House. To the contrary, as long as what comes to the House is for the advancement of the people of Anguilla, I, for one, will certainly support it. As leader of the opposition, I look forward to the continuation of the work of the Public Accounts Committee and to leading the opposition in the parliamentary and policy debate in this honorable House. Madam Speaker, I wish to once again thank you. I wish to thank specifically also Mr. Victor Franklin Banks for his years, his 30-plus years in politics, and all that he has done for his contribution to Anguilla. And with that being said, Madam Speaker, I look forward to playing my part in the development of Anguilla over the next 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I acknowledge the member for Valley South.
Good afternoon, Madam Speaker, and I rise to open with remarks of congratulations, both to you and to the other members of the House. Madam Speaker, I stand before you this afternoon honored to have been given the privilege to address this honorable House. This privilege has been afforded to me by the Almighty Father, who has directed my feet to this path. And as Proverbs chapter 3, verses 4 to 5 instructs, I have trusted in the Lord with all my heart and leant not on my own understanding. In all my ways I have acknowledged him, and he has directed my feet and my path here. To my campaign team who have worked hard in the vineyards, I want to say thank you. But special mention goes to my farmer lady, to my mother, to a woman whose unwavering support I will be eternally indebted. I love you. To the people of District 4, thank you. You have heard me speak, and now you have put me to work. And finally, to our Premier, thank you for believing in us. Thank you for ensuring each young member of this team was not treated as a token, but allowed to shoulder the burden of decision-making. Although we are slight, we are Talawa. And although the rigors of getting here over the past 9 months have strained my vocal cords and hence shortened the length of this speech this afternoon, Madam Speaker, the rigors of this office will never act as an impediment on my ability to speak on behalf of the people of Anguilla. Madam Speaker, I stand before you occupying a space in which many District 4 representatives have stood before me, maybe not literally, but figuratively. But in this moment, and for the moments to come over the next 5 years, I have prayed that the spirit, ambitions, and lasting legacy of my late great-aunt Albina Lake Hodge, which has stood the test of time and endured past her death in 1985, 7 years, 2 months, and 22 days before my birth, will take hold of me and keep me through this journey. Her selflessness drew her to this position. It was not for title, nor crown, to be the first, nor the last. And while there may be accolades and titles affixed to my name, the title that I endeavor to embody is that of servant to the people of District 4. The next 5 years will continue to be a humbling experience as we balance the pressures of being an administrating authority in these difficult times and the drive to innovate and educate with limited resources. This is why the APM was careful about the promises we made. And although we had never touched the halls of governance, we knew that the campaign was not the same as being in government. There will be challenging times ahead, and while I do not make any attempt to trivialize the struggles of those in need right now, I will always remember the words of Cutter Gums. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. And if it's one thing Anguillians are, it's tough. So in closing, I want to invite the people of Anguilla and the people of District 4 in particular, let us continue to be tough, and let us continue to dream, and to memorialize the words sang by the Albina Lake Hodge Comprehensive School Choir this afternoon. We've all got dreamers in us too. So to end, Madam Speaker, I just want to reassure the people of District 4 that I will always be accessible to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member, and thanks to all members for their contributions. Are there any other contributions? No?
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Madam Speaker, I raise to offer my congratulations to you on your election to the office of Speaker. Deputy is a role that I'm very familiar with, so I can pledge you my full support. I may need some hand-holding, so I'm going to look to you for that guidance and help. Secondly, I just want to say thank you to the people of Anguilla for allowing me the opportunity to continue to serve in this House and to pledge to the Premier and his team that he will have the support of a dedicated public service, and to congratulate him and his colleagues for their success at the polls. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Attorney General.
Madam Speaker, I avail myself of that portion of the members here assembled and the members of the public to, of course, with your kind indulgence, to lend my own congratulatory remarks to all the members of the House, the elected members. I think the members now opposite to us will know very well that although I am not one that I would say anxiously enjoys parliamentary procedure, it is not an experience that is new to me. In another life, hopefully not to return to me again, I did have many of these burdens that some of my colleagues have and some on the opposite side have had. Let me say a few things which will now follow. And Madam Speaker, it will not be quite often that I would rise to speak, except, of course, to offer my advice, as I am duty-bound by law to do, to this House and to your good self, and, of course, where I move a bill standing in my name. Speakers before me have mentioned the historic nature of this occasion and the experience of the last 2.5, 3 weeks. I hope I am accurate in that assessment. But did so, and I think unintentionally, cursorily, in passing, without pause to really appreciate the depth of the many significant changes that have arisen. No condition in life is permanent. Change is constant. And once you accept that, you will adapt to change. And you will adapt to change not with hubris or unmitigated jubilation, but with an understanding and appreciation of the realities of the burden of leadership. In that this occasion here, at the first sitting of the first session of the new Parliament, marks not a destination, but the beginning of an arduous journey of leadership. Because the election is an event, government is a process. And one of the distinctive features of the experience in the last 3 weeks for me is not just the entry to the fore of young talent, but that the mechanism, the path, and the way constitutionally was prepared for the flourishing that we see now. And that was prepared by an older generation. And in as much as some think that this experience was a contest between the old and the young, I do not see it as such. I see it as one generation given way as it must to another. And that is not often seen elsewhere in the Caribbean, in my experience, in another life, where the older generation of leadership tend really to hang on until Papa God called them, which is not the desirable situation. But I'm very pleased to be in Anguilla to witness this, because it is the beginning of a very exciting time for this island nation. And I would want to encourage all members, this governing side and the opposite, that parliamentary debate really is an occasion, particularly for those who are governing, to edify and educate the public. Of course, wit, picong as we call it, is an inescapable and incidental element of parliamentary debate and its experience. But primarily, when we bring policy and we transform policy into law, the public must understand why we are doing so. And to my friends opposite, I'm sure you would have heard me in the last parliament indicate to, I couldn't say those, but the one opposite, that Her Majesty's loyal opposition is not an opposition for being an oppositionist. There's a difference between an opposition and an oppositionist. An oppositionist will say no to every bill, every clause, every comma, every full stop. An opposition, a responsible one, will criticize, scrutinize, and advise. Whilst at times, hopefully where appropriate, offer an alternative legislative proposition. Madam Speaker, I have been advised that, and I can see, from the conduct of business when you took the chair. In my other life, we call it the woolsack, that you have walked this path before. And this, I think, is quite fortuitous for the new members, because it's an opportunity for experience to be the teacher, for those who know to impart to those who are neophytes and do not know. The parliamentary experience, I hope, will be fruitful, and from what I hear from my colleagues in government, and certainly from my friends opposite, there will be much lively and fruitful debate. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, we have to take cognizance of a certain reality that looms. Anguilla is not a different planet removed from Terra Earth. It exists in the world as we have it now. Not only do we have a global pandemic, but we are frightfully at the doorsteps of an international, a global economic recession. And may Almighty God, with divine inspiration, guide the leadership of this government, and may a steady hand be applied to the way forward. Because now that the election cycle has run its course, it is the raw and sometimes bitter reality of real government. Hard decisions that will affect your friends and may affect them negatively, may destroy your personal relationship, but it may indeed save the greater population, the nation. That, such as that, is the business of real government. Speaking for myself, as my distinguished colleague, the Deputy Governor, mentioned, our duty, although it may be forgotten by some, or maybe some may have been misled, our duty is always to be impartial and to support and advise and assist the government, and indeed this House. And we intend to do so with every fervent breath that we have. So, Madam Speaker, I thank you so very kindly for permitting me the opportunity to make these remarks. I wish my colleagues God's mighty blessings, and I wish all members of the House the very best, because this journey is going to be rocky, but it is the collective talent and the unity of purpose of this entire membership of the Parliament will carry the nation where it needs to be. I'm grateful.
Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Member, and thank all Honourable Members today for their mature presentations. Thank you.
Adjournment.
Honourable Member.
Madam Speaker, I move that this House stands adjourned, sine die.
Can someone second?
Madam Speaker, I move to second.
Thank you, Member. It has been moved and seconded that this Honourable House stands adjourned, sine die. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. This Honourable House now stands adjourned, sine die. Thank you.